I was out on a date when this schmuck calls me Frankenstein. My name is Frank Stein. It's Jewish.
They're not humans, and they shouldn't be treated like us.
They do not exist to be our slaves.
I got you!
So today we're talking about a bit of a different movie by the name of Abnormal Attraction. This one is directed by a gentleman called Michael Levy. He actually does also have a role within this movie. A few of the stars of this you will recognise the names instantly. We have Jim Hanks, Michael Buscemi, yep, he is Steve's brother, Malcolm McDowell and Leslie Easterbrook. They also managed to squeeze in a bit of a cameo from Ron Jeremy in this. He seems to be making a bit of a habit of popping up, no pun intended, in horror movies these days. So to give you a bit of an idea of what this movie's about, I shall try my best. It's a world where magical, mythical beasts exist. So we've got mermaids, we've got the Tooth Fairy, we've got yetis, we've got, you name it, basically any mythical beast that you can think of, cyclopses. It exists and is in this movie. Frankenstein's monster, there's all kinds of people in this. And the story behind this is humans and these mythical creatures, well, mythical to us, they're real to them, living together in harmony. It's very clearly an observational piece with regards to people living side by side with people of different races, the prejudices, the way people react to people that are different. They've taken that sort of idea and they've run with it in a comedy vein, because this very much is a comedy horror. I would use horror quite loosely. There are bits in there that I can see why it got the horror tag, but it's much more a light-hearted comedy, I would say, with horror elements here and there. Definite Easter eggs for horror fans and things that will maybe not mean so much to people that aren't into the horror genre, but will resonate with those that are. The story is divided into 3 chapters. And we have the three stories converging at the end of the movie. I don't want to give you too much information about the movie so as to spoil it for you. Basically, it revolves around AA meetings. When I say AA, I don't mean Alcoholics Anonymous. This is Abnormal Attraction, where these individuals come together to admit to their obsessions or attractions with individuals that perhaps they feel they shouldn't be getting romantically or physically involved with. It seems to be frowned upon for humans and, I don't know, leprechauns in this to sort of be getting it on, to be getting it together. This is very much definitely something that you have to watch tongue-in-cheek. I will say that the special effects in this for the various creatures is very good. There are some really amusing parts with regards to a bit of gore and blood that it just is funny. There's nothing, you know, horrific about it. There's nothing frightening about this. It can best be described as a fairy tale for adults. If you want your fairy tales to come from that position of preposterousness and stupidity and just daft comedy and humour. This is one that is going to appeal to a lot of people in the horror community that I know that like this kind of thing. They do like their humour to be a bit daft and silly. Let me give you an example. We have the argument where Frank Stein, who is Frankenstein's monster, is getting distressed about people referring to him as Frankenstein, because all of us within the horror community know that Frankenstein is the name of the scientist and the monster is Frankenstein's monster. So he's discussing this and he said, "I'm Frank Stein." Then he points downwards towards his trouser area and says, "And this is Frank Stein's monster." That just gives you an idea as to the kind of humour we're looking at here. There is worse. There is some humour, right? There is a scene. The Pale Man, as you can probably see behind me here on my bottom pop shelf, has got eyeballs on the bottom of his hand, on his palms of his hands. There is a creature within this movie that has eyeballs on his palms. He is stood in the middle of 2 girls and does this with his eyeballs underneath their skirts. So a lot of people may find that really funny. I just find it eyeball rolling. Personally, this is not my cup of tea. I'm not going to say this movie is terrible, it's just not my kind of thing. If comedy and horror is put together, it has to be done perfectly to work as far as I'm concerned. Shaun of the Dead does this, Army of Darkness does this, but this movie to me was too far on the side of daft humour and not enough on the side of horror. This was just daft, stupid, juvenile schoolboy humour. That's the only way I can put it. I don't want to say this is beneath me, you know, I'm not being all hoity-toity about it. It's just not my kind of thing. I didn't laugh once. What I did find really, I will say this because I want to give you an honest review. I don't want you to go away thinking this movie isn't worth watching because it's not my cup of tea. Check out the reviews on IMDb for this movie, guys. It's basically, I think the lowest mark I saw it get was an 8.5. All the reviews are 8.5s, 9s or 10. There's loads of 10s, which does make me question who exactly is watching and rating this, because some of the best movies in existence don't get 10s on IMDb. But every review I could find for this movie anywhere on the internet were all very positive. The critics' reviews, the people that watched reviews, they all said it was genius. Maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe I'm one of those people that it's not for. It's not my cup of tea. Like I say, I can only criticise from the point of view of my opinion. The makeup is very, very good in this. The cinematography looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The acting in places I did find ridiculous, apart from like the main actors. Some of the background actors that have smaller parts, the acting was painful at times. I did watch this with my husband for another viewpoint, who I will say has a very juvenile sense of humour. He didn't finish it. He walked off in disgust halfway through because he thought it was so bad. So yeah, that really, I don't know what else to say. This has got a stellar cast. Some of the people in this you will question why exactly they're in it. It wasn't for me. It isn't one that I particularly enjoyed. It certainly isn't one that I would watch again. Would I recommend it? I would say if you like really ridiculous, stupid humour, you may enjoy it. If you're watching it for any element of horror, then there's not that much there in that respect. I read somewhere, I read someone comparing it to the Monster Squad for adults. If only that were the case. I'd be really interested to know in any of your guys' viewpoints. If you have seen this movie, let me know below in the comments. Have you seen the trailer? Or from the little bits that I've included here, does it look like something that you would enjoy? So Abnormal Attraction is released on all digital platforms and on demand from the 26th of February 2019. So quite soon if you're interested in seeing it. I'd be really interested to know below in the comments what you guys think. Is this a taste thing? Is it just me? Does this really appeal to you? Let me know below in the comments and I look forward to speaking to you next time.